And this isn't really heavy rain. This is slightly more than Scottish sunshine. The weather here is more like Seattle, if you've been there, and some other places. But I used to play golf every fucking day in this rain. 36 holes. But I came here, I was obsessed.
Retirement on steroids.
Correct. And I had played as much as 72 holes of golf in a day. I had my own permanent caddy, both at the Old Course and at Carnoustie. Old Course meaning St. Andrews. And I had a caddy here at Carnoustie, which is called Carnastie, because it's one of the great courses, named Johnny. He was, in fact, he was my age, 72 when I got here. And he lived, his wife said, you're keeping him alive. Because an old man walking 36 holes a day, carrying my clubs, kept the little fucker fit. He's away now. He's in that big bunker in the sky. He's with the arches, the golden arches in the sky. As I said last night at dinner, I've been misspeaking for 25 years about my heritage. I keep telling people I'm a second-generation Mexican. 25, 30 years I am. Then it dawned on me 2 days ago that I'm not. I'm a first generation. Because my mother and grandmother both came across illegally at the same time. So I was the first person born after my mother came to America. So that makes me first generation. So for 24 years in this seminar, I've been telling bad information. Just like you've been getting bad information about personal development for all your lives. And it dawned on me, I don't know, a couple of days ago, just like a lightning bolt hit me in the fucking bald head. I couldn't believe it, that I could have misunderstood that. But I am first generation, which I guess supposedly makes my accomplishments more than if I was second generation. To me, that's what it makes, nothing. That and a dime won't get you a fucking coffee at Starbucks. But, so I am first generation. I wanted to clear that up. I said it last night at dinner, and one of you, where's the meathead, the ex-athlete, or you, said that never underestimate how wrong you can be. Fuck, that's an understatement. Okay, that's number one I want to clear up. Number two, we are, as I said last night at dinner, we're 16 for 9. I've met 9 of you privately, and we've got 16 deals that aren't worth a shit. Because a couple of you had 2 or 3 deals. So we're 16 for 9. And it won't surprise me if all the deals that you present me aren't worth a shit. And that's because, it's not because you're just inordinately stupid. It's because you don't know what a good deal is. You don't know what a deal is, let alone a good deal, because you have no training. And if some of you have educational backgrounds, where's Irish? Okay, and you actually did deals, and then you copped out that you did a healthcare deal in America. See, little weasel. He has the background. He's done some of this already, and he's keeping it under his Irish chest, and his brown bag, like the IRA, it's a brown bag deal. And because you just don't know. And as David Garofalo, who is on the Hall of Fame, in his infinite wisdom said about, 15, 18 years ago, you don't know what you don't know. And he was CEO of the year, if I remember, in London back around 2000. And you don't. So it's not unusual that the deals that you present are lackluster, to say the least, lackluster. And but remember, the deals that we're going to do, if cash flow, free cash flow, and we're going to define what real free cash flow is, doesn't cover debt service. We're not even looking at them. We don't care. We don't care. I don't care if you found the box that turned shit into gold. We don't care. And I mean, we don't care. I don't want to see it, hear it. I'm not interested. And by definition, then, all the apps don't make the grade. Because if an app's cash flow can cover debt service, they're not fucking selling it to you. Remember, there's maybe 1 million apps. And there's only 18, 20, 25 of them that have made any serious money since the beginning of apps. How long have apps been around?
The internet.
Okay. And so there's maybe 15 or 20 of them that have made any money. Now, I've seen a lot of apps that make $1 a day or $6 a day or $300 a month, but that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. And I think, not this is a slight exaggeration, this is a Trumpism. I mean, everybody and his dog's got an app or an idea for an app. Just about everybody and his dog. You can stop people on the street and they got an idea. They got an idea. And everybody's looking for, they want to be Instagram, where Zuckerberg comes and pays you $1 million or $2 million for your idea that you've worked on 8 months or 12 months or 15 months. And then you and some dopehead buddy of yours from graduate school figured out, in a bar someplace. And then Facebook or somebody comes and pays you a bunch of money. Well, that's happened once in the internet, I think. So I know hope springs eternal, and nothing's impossible, kids, nothing. But I mean, the probability of that happening to you, and as I told Oxford more than a year ago, there's nobody smart enough in this audience, and that was arguably a very, very bright audience, that's going to come up with the next app that's going to make a whole bunch of money. And all those Oxford kids, every kid had 4 or 5 app ideas. Every single one of them. All not worth a shit. Okay, the movie last night. What was it?
Talk about law of attraction.
And what else?
Conditioning your mind. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Seeing it.
Pardon?
Seeing it. Visualizing it.
And as I said yesterday afternoon, and I said the first afternoon, this visualization has been used by athletes since forever. Forever. And it's only recently, in maybe the last 30 or 40 years, been used more prolifically for business. For business. But I mean, Jesse Owens used it in the 1936 Olympics. Was it? Yeah, 36. And all the great athletes in the current day, athletes, the greats, the great tennis players now, the great football, both American football and European football, and when we spend time. Now, I read your homework last night. Let's see, how shall I put this? Most of it wasn't worth a shit. I think everybody understands what that means, right? Now, if you're not taking this serious, then I'm not going to take it serious. If that's the best you got, there's 2 or 3 exceptions. But see, you're a class. You're a group, although you're not supposed to talk to each other. And I already know that some of you are finger fucking each other. I already heard. There's a reason why I tell you not to. But you can't help yourselves. But if you don't take it any more fucking serious, starting tonight, I'm going to start kicking people out based on the written homework. I'm giving you fair motherfucking warning. This ain't a fucking joke to me. Notwithstanding, I don't give a fuck about you. I give a fuck about me and the results that I turn out. So don't listen to me at your own fucking peril. And there's no fucking refunds. You read Seneca last night. What's the takeaway on Seneca? And I'm going to collect your homework again. Now tonight, because I didn't tell you last night, I'm not going to throw you out because of the lack of homework. Sounded like a moron tonight. But tonight's homework for tomorrow, I am. Seneca, what's the takeaway?
Life is long for those who don't waste fucking time. Life is short, sorry. Wait, life's long for those who don't waste time. So if you actually take...
Life, there's enough time for those that don't waste it. But unfortunately, we all waste it, myself included. I wasted less than most. And kids like Josh Kim and the teenage kids, even though they say that they think their life is over at 18 and how much time they wasted, for those of us that are 30, 40, 50, we realize that 18, is nothing. But I'm not telling Josh to stop thinking that way. And one of the things for the kids that are in their teens and in 20s here, when they get back, they're going to tell you got all the time in the world. Don't be in such a hurry. Wrong. And just listen to the asshole that's telling you that. Loser. Because they're judging you by their standards, which were lackluster, not high enough goals, etc. Time is precious. You can never get it back. You can get money back, but you can't get time back. Yes, sir.
There's this like really big epiphany that I had. And it was like that most people overestimate what's possible in the short term, but they way underestimate what's possible in the long term. Meaning they think it's going to be easy to get initial success. They try a little bit, it's too hard, they fail. Then for those that stick it out and push through, then in 3 years' time they can accomplish. Like for me, like I hit my first 7 figures after starting this business in the first 10 months. And I didn't think that was possible. And then I did that, and now I'm thinking, well, I've got the rest of my fucking life. So my goals are way too small. But I persevered through that initial part. So usually people start, and then they hit resistance, they quit, because they overestimate what's possible in the short term, but then they way fucking underestimate what's possible in the long term. Way. We underestimate, well, we do two things. We overestimate the difficulty, because we equate it to impossibility. Okay. Now, for me to run a 10, I was looking at your thing last night again about the track and your things, all your list. Okay. Now, the possibility of me running a 10 flat 100 were not even remotely 100 billionth of a percent. Okay. I have no fast twitch muscles. I'm not going to go into that. I have only slow twitch muscles, apparently. And that's why when I started running, and in my 20s and 30s, I was good at running marathons and 100 miles. But I didn't know that at the time. In fact, I'm not sure anybody knew it back in that day. But all I had was slow twitch muscles. And I had a very poor reaction time. My hand-eye coordination was piss poor. Not just because I'm four eyes and I have glasses, but I mean, it was just poor. And again, I told you because my dad was a gifted athlete, that's probably one of the reasons that I pushed myself in another area that my dad wasn't in to compensate the fact that I, couldn't chew gum and walk at the same time. Okay. Now, see, I can talk about that. And I have been able to talk about that since I'm 20 years old. And that's self-deprecating, but it's the fucking truth. And what you've been taught is not to talk about it. What you've been taught is to hide it under the sheets or the whatever and not talk about your foibles and the things you can't do worth of shit. We've got a guy in this room who bought his mama and daddy a house, bought his grandparents a house, and bought his grandparents and mommy new cars. And now, why does somebody do that? You fucking ain't right. Insecure, lack of self-esteem. And then he was on his way to being bussed. And I told him, did you ever think of asking your grandparents and parents for all that shit back? To have some money? I thought he was going to shit himself. I would. Hey, Grandma, Dad, give me the shit back. And that's the 401k, the pension plan of Asians, basically, is you, the kid. That's their retirement fund. And they tell you from the very beginning. And that's why they educate you so goddamn well. That's the good news. But then they expect you to, reap the benefits when you're an adult and you're taking care of them. I'm not saying you shouldn't take care of your parents. I didn't, but I'm not saying you shouldn't. And I certainly could have, couldn't I? My mother didn't want anything from me. She didn't want a penny from me. When I moved her here, she paid for her own fucking tickets. Just think about that. I sat in premium economy on a British Air flight with her, bringing her here. Because that's what she could afford. That's one step up above a cow steerage. I'd never been in those seats that I can recall in decades, but I thought it was a real experience for me. Whereas your parents, and when we get to the specifics of what are some of the things they did to raise me as opposed to how you were raised. So you do these things, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons. So getting back to we've got all the time in the world, you're told, and that's wrong. You don't have all the time. You don't all the time. And so the kids that are, again, teenagers are in their 20s. Even some of you that are even older than that will be told. Now, the old broad, Doc back there, our elder statesperson, nobody's going to tell her she's got all the time in the world. Nobody's going to tell her that she's got all the time because she's 52, which 52 I think is a kid. So everything's relative. Everything's relative. Okay, anything more about Seneca?
There is no excuse on not getting something done, but there is always an explanation that will never justify it.
Correct. We always come up with coping mechanisms, why we didn't get this, why we didn't do this. Okay. My coping mechanism for not being a gifted athlete was the gene pool just stopped somehow, and I had no coordination, and I had no fast twitch muscles, and and if you had been called and said some of the things that were said to me when I was trying to participate in athletics, I mean, based on your snowflake attitude, like they said, Peña, I mean, you're so fucking slow, you ought to wear the other team's uniform. Now just think about that a minute. You're so fucking slow that you ought to wear the other team's uniform, meaning you're no benefit whatsoever to our team. How would you have coped with that, snowflakes? I'm sure there would have been some suicides. When I hear about suicides on the internet, I mean, it's so foreign, I mean, I just can't understand it. But I know it happens. And when I hear about bullying, I don't understand that. Doesn't anybody know you just go and hit him in the fucking mouth? Is that whole concept lost on humanity? I don't know of any bullies where I came from that lived. There might have been one, but he certainly didn't get past the 3rd or 4th grade. Anything else in Seneca? Good night. Thanks, YouTube.